Welcome to Sounding Board, a production of Soroptimists International of Novato, whose mission it is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment. I'm Nicole Pantaleo, Deputy District Attorney here in the County of Marin, and I'm also a Soroptimist and member of the Soroptimists International of Marin County. Today, I'm very excited to have two guests with me here, and they are from the California Department of Insurance Investigations Division, Chief Kim Johnson-Woods, and Program Supervisor Minerva Lopez. Thank you both and welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about life and annuity fraud. Briefly, Kim, can you tell me, what do you do?
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Both Minerva and I work for the California Department of Insurance under the leadership of Commissioner Dave Jones. I am the chief of the Investigation Division, and I'm responsible for the statewide operation of this division. The Investigation Division consists of more than 100 investigators and support staff in 7 regions throughout the state of California. Our primary focus is investigating suspected fraud perpetrated against our consumers by insurance agents or brokers, or those purported to be agents or brokers. We investigate all lines of insurance, which includes, but is not limited to, life and annuity, auto, homeowners, bail, and title. The primary crimes that we encounter involve premium theft, forgery, identity theft, and financial elder abuse. Most of our complaints come from California consumers, the insurance industry, and law enforcement agencies. Our discussion today will focus on insurance fraud pertaining to life and annuities. The economic loss experienced for life and annuity cases we investigated in 2016 was in excess of $68 million, and that was an actual exposure.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yes,
$68 million?
Yes, it is, an exposure. Wow. But before we get too involved in this discussion, I want to let you know that our department licenses over 400,000 insurance producers. Those that we are going to describe here are a very small portion of our total licensee population. The vast majority of our agents and brokers do comply with our laws. Our cases are primarily prosecuted administratively and criminally. Administrative cases usually involve action against a license and are prosecuted by our in-house attorneys. Our criminal cases are prosecuted by the local city attorneys, district attorneys, the California Attorney General, and the United States Attorney General. Minerva Lopez is the program supervising investigator. She is responsible for the oversight of the Life and Annuity Consumer Protection Program, which is a grant program that provides special funding to both the local district attorneys statewide, as well as the Department of Insurance. She's also responsible for special projects and overseeing sensitive investigations that span throughout the state.
Okay. Well, Minerva, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate. And if you can tell us, first of all, when we're talking about life and annuity, what is that?
Okay, well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Nicole, for the invitation to present this wonderful topic of insurance, and very interesting topic. So purchasing the right insurance product, you know, it could be complicated, could be a challenging process, but it could also be one of the most important decisions and ongoing purchases to make you, your family secure and protect them from financial hardship. So stay tuned, because if you're thinking about buying or canceling a policy, an insurance policy, an annuity, or replacing one that you have, we all have different situations as we get older, or different events in our lives. When you get married, you have kids. So if you're thinking about those circumstances and that impacts the power of your purchasing power, we're gonna go over how you can check on your agent and the insurance companies and such. You asked me to briefly describe what is life and annuity, right?
Sure.
The basic two life policies, life products, are term and the cash value, the whole life insurance policies. So usually term, depending as to if it is appropriate for you, it does not have a cash value, but it could be for a term of 5, 10, or 20 years. The cash value it combines cash value and the death benefit. So then the annuities tend to be a little bit more complicated. And the main difference that I want to relate to the viewers is that the differences, annuities could be collected while you're alive. And then with life insurance, you're talking about your death benefits. Even though life policies could also be sold, but that's a different topic. But annuity, to describe an annuity, is a contract between you and an insurance company. You buy the annuity by making one or more premium payments to the insurance company, and they make the income payments to you. The two most common annuities are the immediate annuities or the deferred annuities. And this is where we can, the suitability of the deferred annuities for people that are older or may not have the solvency to tie up all their funds in a deferred annuity. That's where we come into some problems. What types of fraud, you ask me, do we see? So, we don't have enough time to talk about a lot of the ones that we've seen, but I'll go over a few. We see misrepresentations on these products because there's so many variations of life products like annuities and life insurance products. You see how sometimes an agent can go to either a senior or another person and say, look, I have this annuity that is perfect for you. And since they're complicated contracts, some people say, well, you know what, I'm not interested, but then they keep putting pressure on them, and some people fall for it, just simply like that, for the pressure tactics. Then some other agents may go into a senior's home and say, you know what, I know you have an annuity, I sold you one, but I know you have equity in your home. Why don't you do a reverse mortgage? And we'll go ahead and get you an annuity. Mm-hmm. So you basically, unfreezing some cash, an asset,
taking equity
out of a home and freezing it back again, and there are commissions, fees, and everything. So you're actually losing money.
So are they selling this annuity as an investment tool to the consumer?
Yes.
That the consumer is going to essentially make money, like this is an investment, like if you were going to invest in a portfolio, like if you were going to buy stocks,
correct,
or if you were going to buy a bond, or if you were going to buy a mutual fund. Is that how they're selling this?
Yes, and since annuities are used to supplement your income, either for retirement, if you want an immediate annuity and you're older, but you have a lump sum amount that you give an insurance company and you want to annuitize it, you want the payments immediately, then you can start collecting right away. It's a conservative immediate annuity. But if you start talking about variable deferred annuities that don't, mature until 10 or 20 years and you're already 90 years old, and that's all your money you have, that's where we have problems.
Like science is great, but it's not likely going to be that great, right?
Correct.
So if you're 90 and you're buying one of those, the odds of you getting that 15 years from now, not very high, right?
Yes. Okay. Unless you're a sophisticated person that has attorneys and your wealth allows you to do that, because you may want to have those annuities may have some clauses in there for for college, for your grandkids, but you have the solvency to be able to live off of other income.
Are there disclosure rules that these brokers have to follow when they are selling these instruments to people, particularly to senior citizens?
Yes. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. We also have something that we call the Senior Insurance Bill of Rights, and their applications have become more extensive for disclosures as the years gone by too, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. Okay?
And can you just briefly tell me a couple other forms of fraud? So we have the misrepresentation of what they're selling. We have the rolling your home equity into the entire instrument. What about rolling other parts of your income or your pension or anything else?
That happens too. We've seen it where some people have you roll over their IRAs into an annuity. We see churning where the agent has sold already an annuity and goes into the same people over and over again and keeps saying, look, I have a better annuity, and it comes with a bonus. And again, also with misrepresentation and churning, they say, look, the bonus is immediate. You're not going to lose. There is a surrender for the cancellation. There's a surrender fee that is substantial. And then so we've seen cases where they keep on churning and selling and replacing these products, and people's money keeps shrinking and shrinking. So that we call that churning. So that's another one.
And what about selling somebody an insurance policy where they told them that they sold them the policy, they took the check, and they had the senior citizen write the check out in the agent's name, and then lo and behold, they don't really have a policy. Have you seen that kind of fraud?
That was my next one on my.
Okay.
You're exactly right on. We called. There's one. We call it scheme, but there's another way that the agents can befriend their clients, and typically, seniors, we call them crimes of affinity. They've known them for years. They've sold them some products, legitimately, and then they socially, they take them out to dinner, and in some cases, we even seen where, male agents, take them out a little bit more, like on trips, and then the clients believe they have a relationship. And so we've seen those too. So, and then slowly, before you know it, they don't check to see if the money is being invested. They really trust their agent, and that happens.
Wow.
They write checks to them, thinking they trust them blindly. Okay, invest for me, or this is going for my annuity. And when they find out, or they want to cash out something for an emergency, there's no money in the insurance company.
Wow. And Kim, do you have a case that you can give us as an example?
I do. If we have time, we will be discussing two cases, but the first case that I'd like to discuss involves a former insurance agent who gained the trust of two female senior citizens. One of the senior citizens was 93 and the other one was 74. And he acted as their financial planner. He again gained their trust and said he could invest their money. With respect to the 93-year-old, our investigator found evidence that this agent got her to reinvest her entire retirement portfolio with him.
Wow.
Starting in 2007, he sold her over $1 million in long-term annuities. And then over the course of 7 years, he began rewriting these annuities and churning them over and over and over again in order to obtain commission. But he identified it under the guise to her that she would be getting better returns than her prior policies. This particular agent earned almost $300,000 in commission on her and caused her to lose more than $500,000 in surrender values. And what happens in these cases is when you do life and annuity, when they write life and annuity policies, the agent only gets a commission when they first write it. So there's no renewal. They don't get a second-year commission or a third-year commission, unlike auto. So the only way they would get additional commissions on this type of product is by rewriting the whole thing. And that's what typically can happen. One of the other things he did with this particular victim is that he he received checks from her that were pre-signed, and he told her that he would be using them to do investments for her, but instead he wrote checks in excess of $800,000, and the checks were made payable to him or to cash. And the way it was discovered was because a very alert employee at the bank noticed that these large sums of checks were coming through her account, but they were being made payable to this agent, or they were being made payable to cash. And so when we did our review, we found out that the money was never remitted to any insurance company, and that he used the expenses for personal gain, which included entertainment, travel, and gambling. He even bought a beachfront home in Santa Barbara.
I would love to have a home in Santa Barbara, wouldn't you? Oh my goodness.
That was really horrible.
Wow.
But anyway, during the course of this investigation, the investigator discovered a second victim who was 74 years old, and she lost $80,000 in surrender penalties, in lost premium, and in interest. And she suffered additional tax liabilities as a result of this. So in total, these two victims lost over $2 million due to the agent's criminal activity. We were fortunate enough to be able to get back about $650,000 for the victims, but that's a little bit over a fourth of what they lost. This case was prosecuted by the Santa Barbara District Attorney's Office, and the agent was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his crimes. So that was really a good outcome.
And I'm sure you've seen cases too where you've had victims that are so devastated that they've lost everything that they have, especially seniors. I mean, where they can lose their home. They've lost everything that they worked for, their retirement, their pensions. I mean, I can't imagine getting to the end of your career and the end of, you know, your senior years where you're supposed to be enjoying the rest of your life, and you're finally in your home in your retirement, and you know, you're supposed to be fishing and, you know, enjoying the great outdoors and whatever it is you want to do, and all of a sudden, you know, some agent comes by and just does a scheme on like that and just takes everything.
Yeah, and it's very devastating to those seniors, and it's heartbreaking for us to even, you know, when we're interviewing them, and we could feel their pain, and it's devastating. Yeah.
And did you have a case as well that you can briefly tell us about?
Yes, I'll be really brief, but you said something right now that is, I can't keep it to myself. The first case that I worked for the Department of Insurance, the agent was sentenced to 30 years.
Wow.
And it's exactly for what you just said. The victims were so devastated, they lost everything, and we're talking about $25 million. And some of them did not even want to get out of their bedrooms. They were in depression. Two of them died because they had pre-existing conditions, but they were so weak. And so when we lined them up in court they actually were the ones that made the difference, because the offer on the table after the prelim was 15 years by the judge. But it's an interesting story, but that's another case. But quickly, I'll tell you about this case. This case that is more recent. It's a licensed agent who lost his license because of these crimes. He decided that, you know, selling legitimate life policies and annuities was no longer as profitable as just pocketing the premiums, right? So, but he was doing a legitimate business, and he was licensed. And he had a good book of business, and people did not notice that he was a gambler. So he did prey on the seniors. So one senior lost $300,000 straight out, and many of them were seniors. However, he also went into a company and pitched. He did a sales pitch to them, so the 15 employees could save money for their retirement. And he took approximately $1 million from them, and those funds came from their bonuses, hard-earned bonuses from the employees. So I'll tell you quickly about 3 of them. This is how the crime was uncovered. One 51-year-old female wanted to cash out, like within a few years, wanted to cash out her annuity because she wanted to buy a home. Hello? She couldn't find her money. that's how she kept trying and trying, and that's when she realized they trusted this man and they never checked to see if the funds were remitted to the insurance company. A 62-year-old man who worked there for a long time, it is like, okay, now it's time, this annuity should be mature, I'm not gonna pay surrender fees, I need this money for my kids' college. The money's gone. Oh, no. 67-year-old man, all of a sudden, he had an annuity and disability insurance. He's disabled now, he can't work. Not the disability and no annuity, all those funds were gone. So just to summarize it, $2,250,000 were lost, and this agent was sentenced to 7 years in state prison just this last November.
And that was by ripping off a company of employees.
And different individuals, correct.
Right. So it just shows that anyone can be a victim, and it's not just senior citizens. I mean, you have to watch out no matter who you are, right?
Correct.
So, and that brings me to another group of people that I care very passionately about, and I'm sure our viewers do as well. Have you seen life and annuity fraudsters target our veterans?
Yes. In fact, just recently, my boss and I worked on requesting approval from our commissioner to work in collaboration with the Institute on Aging from San Francisco. They have a federal grant, and there is a veterans pension that is for very low-income veterans and their beneficiaries. Unfortunately, they're connecting it's a crime of opportunity, I guess. They're connecting the dots, and some of our agents, they go and pitch this sale of annuity, and sometimes they don't even tell them. They just go to veterans' homes and tell them, look, you may qualify for this pension, and then they tie up their assets. They either put them in an annuity or both, and they irrevocable trusts, just so they can qualify for these pensions. So,
which they may or may not qualify for, right?
Most likely they won't qualify. Okay. If there's money to be hidden, most likely they won't qualify. So there's tax liability consequences. Right. They have to give the money back if they qualify. So we are working together with the Institute on Aging, and this is something very important to the commissioner and to us as well.
And they're also approaching, I heard, the widows as well of veterans with the same scam?
Yes.
Okay. So some good advice is check with the VA.
Yes.
Check with your financial advisor. Be really careful before you tie up those assets.
That's correct.
And we do have now, with this coalition with Institute on Aging and the Veterans Administration and some other groups, we do have it on our website, on the senior portal, please. There is an advisory, it's easy to follow, and you should be able to find information there. And we have a website as a group with the Institute on Aging. The link for that website is there on our Department of Insurance website.
And Kim, can you tell us what are some red flags that we can watch out for so that we don't become victims of life and annuity fraud? And can you give us some tips on how to protect ourselves? You know, what do I do if I have an insurance agent come and talk to me and they're trying to sell me policy, trying to sell me an annuity, and I just want to make sure that everything's on the up and up and that this is legit and that I'm not going to fall into any of these horrible cases that you guys are talking about? Because like you said, most of our agents are legitimate, they're good business people, they're following the rules. So we have to watch out for that percentage, that small percentage that can do us a lot of harm.
Exactly, and I have a few red flags that I'd like to share with you and the viewers. The first one is unsolicited visits from an agent. By law, the agent is required to give a 24-hour notice when they want to go out and talk to senior citizens. And if you have an agent that just knocks on your door and wants to come in, make sure that you put up your guards, because generally they're doing that because they want to catch you by yourself, whereas, you know, there's no one there to give you information or to provide input or to help with your decision making. They want you to make the decision because they probably feel that you would make the decision that to buy the policy.
Right.
So that's one red flag. The second one is high pressure sales tactics. If an agent comes in and they're too aggressive and you just feel like you are somehow being pressured, you know, you don't have to go forward with the transaction. And one of the things that we've learned in the past is that, you know, we've had it before where a sales agent has gone into someone's home and they're applying such pressure, and the person feels like they can't get the agent out of their home, you know, and so they end up actually purchasing the policy just to get the sales agent to leave, which is not in their best interest. Another red flag is request for cash payments. There's no reason to be given a life agent a cash payment. What happens sometimes is we'll have an agent, in one particular case we had, the agent told the consumer, if you give me cash, then I will, I'll give you a discount on your premium. And guess what happens? That money gets pocketed into the agent's pocket. It never gets to the insurance company.
And you can't prove it.
And you can't prove it. And that brings me down to another is blank checks. Sometimes they ask for blank checks. They'll say, well, you know, we need to use your check to give to the insurance company, who can then start your automatic monthly, you know, deduction through your bank account. You don't have to do that. Oftentimes, there's either a separate sheet of a separate form that they can complete, but you do not have to give a blank check, and I would not give a blank check. Also, there are times when you haven't received your policy yet, and you talk to the agent, and the agent is telling you, well, you know, the company's just, you know, a little bit behind, just give me a couple of weeks, give me a couple of months, and, you know, sometimes people don't follow up and they never receive a policy. Well, if you pay for a policy, you will always get a policy. If you pay for
call
insurance.
them up, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, tips on how to protect yourself. One of the things we always recommend to our consumers is to contact our department. And you can determine the licensing status, and you can also determine if there's any disciplinary action against an agent. All that is available on our website, and our website is www.insurance.ca.gov. Don't ever let an agent rush you into a transaction. Take your time. You are not obligated to make that purchase. So, you know, we need to make sure that we do it in our time frame and not in that agent's time frame. Don't sign any documents without reading them first. If you don't understand the language, don't sign. If they can't explain it to you to your satisfaction, don't sign. Don't allow the agent to fill in the blanks later. There are times when an agent will provide you, you know, will complete your application, but not complete every question, and then have you sign and date it. Well, when you sign and date it and the insurance company receives it, they're assuming all the information is accurate. However, what typically happens is the agent will go back to their office and they will put information in those blank spots that allow you to qualify for that product, when in fact, had the actual information been put into those blank areas, you probably would not have qualified.
That's great. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I do know that you did mention that we have a senior bill of rights, and is that on your website as well?
Yes, it is. It is on our website as well, and we actually brought a copy. So
wonderful.
So
informing seniors,
that.
Yeah, and it's really
Correct.
important they know that that does exist. You do have rights. You have consumer rights as well. And we brought with us as well who to contact if you believe that you've been a victim of life and annuity fraud. There is, of course, your agency number, which is with us here today, as well as the Marin County District Attorney's Office if it is in our jurisdiction. And I do want to thank you both very much for coming with us and joining the sounding board. You provided some great information. Thanks to the Soroptimists crew and Novato.